The Calhoun effect is a term used to describe what happened in a famous experiment conducted by American scientist John B. Calhoun during the 1960s and 1970s. He created a mouse paradise called Universe 5, where mice had unlimited food, water, shelter, and protection from predators. The goal was to observe how a population would behave when all physical needs were met. At the beginning, the mice population grew rapidly. With abundant resources and no threats, the colony expanded from a few mice to hundreds. However, as the population became denser, unusual social behaviors started to appear. Mice began fighting more often, mothers abandoned their young, and many animals became socially withdrawn. Calhoun noticed a group he called the beautiful ones. These mice spent most of their time eating, sleeping, and grooming themselves. They avoided mating, parenting, and social interaction. Although physically healthy, they had lost interest in the behaviors necessary for the survival of the colony. As time passed, birth rates dropped dramatically. Young mice failed to learn normal social skills because they lacked proper role models. Aggression increased in some groups, while others became passive and isolated. Eventually, the population stopped reproducing altogether. Despite having plenty of food and water, the colony entered a decline. Deaths eventually outnumbered births, and the entire population died out. Calhoun called this process a behavioral sink, where overcrowding and social breakdown led to the collapse of normal behavior. Many people use the Calhoun effect as a metaphor for human societies. Some argue that modern cities, social isolation, declining birth rates, and excessive comfort may reflect similar patterns. However, scientists caution against directly applying mouse experiments to humans. Human societies are far more complex, with culture, education, technology, and social institutions that influence behavior. Today, the Calhoun effect remains a widely discussed topic in sociology, psychology, and urban studies. Supporters believe it offers warnings about social disconnection and the importance of meaningful roles in society. Critics argue that the experiment's conditions were artificial and do not accurately represent how humans live. Even so, the Universe 25 experiment raises important questions. What happens when a society has abundant resources but loses social connection, purpose, and healthy relationships? While there is no simple answer, the Calhoun effect continues to spark debate about the balance between material comfort and social well-being. Conclusion: the Calhoun effect refers to the social collapse observed in John B. Calhoun's Universe 25 mouse experiment. Although the mice had everything they needed to survive physically, their society eventually broke down due to overcrowding and behavioral changes. The experiment remains a fascinating example of how social structures and relationships can be as important as basic resources for the long-term survival of a community. One of the most interesting aspects of the Calhoun effect is that the collapse of the mouse colony did not occur because of a lack of resources. In nature, animal populations usually decline when food, water, or shelter become scarce. In Universe 25, however, those resources remained abundant until the very end. This led John B. Calhoun to believe that social factors alone could be powerful enough to destroy a population. As the colony grew larger, mice found it increasingly difficult to establish normal social roles. In healthy mouse communities, individuals have specific behaviors related to territory, parenting, mating, and group interaction. In Universe 25, overcrowding disrupted these patterns. Many mice could no longer find a meaningful place within the social structure. Young mice were especially affected. Because many mothers failed to care for their offspring properly, the next generation grew up without learning normal social behaviors. Some became unusually aggressive, while others became fearful and withdrawn. This created a cycle in which each generation was less capable of maintaining a stable society than the one before it. Calhoun described the later stage of the experiment as a period of social death. Even before physical death occurred, many mice had stopped engaging in the activities necessary for the survival of their community. They no longer formed families, defended territories, or raised young. Their lives became limited to eating, drinking, sleeping, and grooming. The experiment attracted attention far beyond the scientific community. Writers, sociologists, urban planners, and philosophers began discussing whether similar problems could emerge in human societies. Some pointed to rising loneliness, declining birth rates in certain countries, and increasing social isolation as possible parallels. Others suggested that a lack of purpose or meaningful social roles could have long-term consequences for communities. However, many researchers caution against making direct comparisons between mice and humans. Unlike mice, humans create cultures, institutions, laws, and technologies that help manage large populations. People can adapt to crowded environments in ways that animals cannot. Cities around the world successfully support millions of residents without experiencing the complete social collapse seen in universe purchase. Despite these differences, the experiment remains influential because it highlights the importance of social health. Food, shelter, and safety are essential, but they may not be enough on their own. Communities also need strong relationships, opportunities for meaningful participation, and environments that encourage healthy social interaction. Today, the Calhoun effect is often discussed in debates about urban design, mental health, digital isolation, and community building. While the experiment does not predict humanity's future, it serves as a reminder that social connections play a critical role in the well-being of both individuals and societies. Conclusion. The later stages of the Calhoun effect demonstrated how a population can decline even when material resources are plentiful. Universe 25 showed that social structure, purpose, and healthy relationships are vital components of a thriving community. Although humans are far more complex than mice, the experiment continues to inspire discussions about how societies can maintain connection, meaning, and stability in an increasingly modern world.